Hello guys, and welcome to this Volks Wizard video, which is actually episode 6 of Project R8. Now if you watched episode 5, you'll know that I removed the front bumper, carefully stripped it down of all its component parts, ready to be repainted. This was because at some point in the car's life it had been painted before, but not to a very high standard, so little chips were becoming big flakes and it looks pretty unsightly. At about the same time, I removed the wheels to be refurbished, took them over to Prestige Wheel Centre in North Birmingham. They were originally silver. I had planned to go for titanium, like a dark grey colour, but then I felt brave, or you could say stupid, and went for satin bronze. I haven't seen them on the car yet, so I've got no idea if it's going to work out well or not. So if you want to see what they look like for yourself, stay tuned, because the last bit of this video will be me showing you what they look like on the car. They're not actually here yet, so I've got no idea, so I can't wait to see it myself. In the meantime, I've got a bit of donkey work to do. I've got to put the bumper back together. So here in front of me, I've got the bumper with all the bits, grills, parking sensors, you name it. It's all here, ready to go back on. I've got all the screws in their little pots there, so I can't get confused which ones go where, which makes life a lot easier. The front spoiler will go on last of all when the bumper's on the car, because it takes a lot of effort to get that to clip in, because it has to stay in place at like really high speed, so it's probably best to do that when the bumper's secure on the car rather than risk damaging the bumper by working on it down here. So without any further ado, let's get this bumper back together and get it back onto Project R8. Guys, well, that wasn't that bad after all. I think having all your screws in separate pots made it a lot easier, and the rest of it just all fell into place really. It's all self-explanatory. I always struggle with the screws, but take that out of the equation, it's actually quite easy. One little complication, and the reason for the trim tape that I mentioned in episode 5 that I found holding the grills in place, was that they're actually held in place by these metal clips that aren't particularly brilliant. So the grill at the front is trying to come out, and it's only held in place by this clip. I think once they've been removed, they don't really like to go back in as securely as they did, but I've modified them a bit so they're quite strong now, so the grills are actually nice and flush. I hope they stay that way though, because I don't want to be taking the bumper off to do that again. Now while it's off, I thought I'd give it a good clean behind it, because it's a bit grubby. I've cleaned the grills as I went on, but there are still other bits and pieces that I want to clean, and likewise with the area behind the bumper, because it's a bit grubby. It lived in Scotland, so yeah, you can see that it could do with a bit of a clean, and being a little bit OCD, I cannot miss this opportunity, even on such a grim summer's evening. This is like a couple of days after the longest day, and yeah, June, I said June was bad in the video originally, that's why I was glad the car's off-road. It hasn't got any better, but maybe it will later this week. Anyway, so I'm going to get the pressure washer onto that. I'm not going to use any cleaner actually, because the radiators are very sort of vulnerable to corrosion. If you've ever owned a Porsche by now, probably these outer aircon ones, or even so you've got the aircon condenser there, that's a radiator in the traditional sense. I think that's another radiator because it's not turbo, so it's not an intercooler. And again, you've got aircon rads sitting on the back of a normal rad. Yeah, so just like a 911 that is actually, but only certain 911s have a centre radiator. Yeah, so all this is prone to corrosion, so I'm just going to give it a wash down gently with a pressure washer, not using too much pressure. Leave it to dry overnight and then treat it with a bit of maintenance spray just to give it some protection. Yeah, so let's get pressure washing.
find evidence to back that up.
Yeah, I think what people don't have to do is just admit that these very unlikely scenarios are probably less unlikely than they seem. But my colleague Katie Ball sums it up perfectly in Coleman magazine recently. She's thinking
Okay guys, a few days have passed since I was putting the bumper together, but now it's on the car. It took a lot of effort though, because it was much easier taking it off than it is putting it back on. Primarily because when you put it back on, everything needs to be aligned properly and you don't know what goes where. But once I'd taken the headlights out, that process was made a lot easier. So it came off really easily with the headlights in place. But to get things like the washer jet screwed back into the bumper, it was a lot easier with the headlights out. And they're very easy. They just have 3 bolts, which I can show you. You've got one there, and one there, and a plug on the back for the electronics just there. And then with those out, you've got really good access to the back. So it was a piece of cake. Just got to put the covers back on, which I can do later. But yeah, the quality of paintwork was really good. I've normally been using a body shop called Sprint, which is within walking distance of my premises here. But unfortunately, the guy who runs it, Tony, hasn't been very well. So Tony, get well soon. In the meantime, I've used a garage in Bourneville in Birmingham or Sturchley called Green's Total Car Care. And I don't know if you heard of Team Hard. They're a race team that race in the Touring Car Championship and a few other championships. He does all their bodywork, and in fact he actually races for them as well. So he's quite a good contact to know, and he does a bloody good job. It said he took him 6 hours to match the paint because he wasn't happy with the standard paint that came out for Suzuka Grey, and they've done a brilliant job, as I will show you. So it's a bit shady down there, but you can see it is at least as close as when it came out the factory, and the finish is excellent. So I don't know if you remember before, it was all like peeling down here, chips were becoming big sort of thumb-sized flakes. Now it's lovely. So on to the next job, and that is the wheels, and this is the bit hopefully you've been looking forward to as much as I have. So in the back of my A2 now are the Satin Bronze wheels, freshly refurbished by Prestige Wheels in Birmingham. So I'm just going to get the car in the workshop, fiddle around with the ramps for about 2 hours, get it up in the air, get the wheels on, and then hopefully, while it's still daylight, it should be because it's June, get it out here and show you what these Satin Bronze wheels look like on this car. They're going to be a lot better than these shitty temporary wheels for sure. Here they are. Okay guys, well the big moment is now here. I've got the Satin Bronze wheels by Prestige Wheel Centre fitted to my Suzuka Grey Audi R8 V8 manual. So I think before the sun gets any lower, let's have a good look at it. So there you go. I'm using the original centre caps, might have to sort that out later. Might try a smaller cap and just use little nut covers on the wheel nuts. So I'm not sure they're making the best of the wheel looking like that. Sun's coming out now. So yeah, for some reason I think it's screaming out for red brake calipers now. Not particularly expensive to do, and there's a place in Worcester called Big Red who are really good at doing that kind of stuff. Probably even got the R8 decals in stock. It's just what do you do with your car when you've taken the calipers off? I don't need to move it, I can keep it tucked away in the workshop, but how do you stop the brake fluid leaking out? Because once that happens it's a real bugger to bleed it. If you know, comment below. But yeah, let me know what you think. I don't think it looks particularly different to what it would have done if I'd gone for the titanium wheels, which are a factory option, but it's just a more modern sort of look now. It's actually a very current look because you can order a titanium edition of the new R8, which came out in March, in Suzuka Grey. The standard wheels are Satin Bronze, so it's a very similar look. There's a guy on Instagram with tag, I think it's R8_Decennium. I'll put the link on the screen now, and he's got exactly that combination, and I've been watching his feed while the wheels have been in and thinking, you know what, this might actually work. But yeah, let me know what you think. I better say big thanks to Dell at Prestige Wheel Centre. He offered me a lot of advice on this, and I think it's worked out really well. So thanks, Dell, and a really good job. And it didn't take 2 weeks to do. It took about a week to do, but because I was going away, I dropped them in a week early. So it took just over a week for them to come back from the day they were booked, which pretty much is bang on time for the new month. 1st of July is on Monday, and then I can re-tax the card. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Volkswizard video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment, please share, please do subscribe. Subscriptions are very, very important for the longevity of this channel. So if you haven't already, then please do. And I'll see you for the next one. I have no idea what that could be very soon.